Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Temple Possibilities sermon for July 18th. I would like to welcome you all back, and I hope you have been enjoying our videos and had a chance to look at our Facebook group. Um, uh, Today's sermon will be called Is There More Than You Know? And it can be found on the Universal Life Church page. I'll leave a link down below for you if you want to read it yourself. But let's all take a moment of silence to pray or meditate or what have you. Okay, thank you. Alright, this sermon is There More Than You Know is about um, trying to come together for basically what we have in common. One of the main things that our church is founded on. Instead of using what's different to hate each other. So, let's begin. So, what are you? Are you an atheist, a Christian, spiritual humanist, agnostic, Jewish, pagan, or Muslim? It is something helpful to feel connected to a particular group, but not in the way they like you to believe. If your group religion dictates a firm and unquestionable philosophy in relation to God and consequences, and considers themselves the one and only spiritual, non-spiritual path, then you are headed down a very closed-minded and arrogant road that can be fueled by anger, pity, pain, and separation. In observing the world's religions, the workings of the natural world of creation, and the harsh, controversial elements of human nature, it is only fair to recognize that the old phrase, I have been blessed by God, is an antiquated and unrealistic way to look at our good fortune. If one innocent child lives in an environment that promotes good health, education, and stability, and the child flourishes because of it, we say the child has been blessed by God. If another innocent child lives in an environment that is devoid of well-being, education, and stability, and the child flourishes despite the conditions, we say the child has been blessed by God. If still another innocent child is abused and murdered, we are left to wonder, where are the blessings of God for this child? Why is one person blessed and another isn't? I survived the fire and you didn't, therefore I was blessed by God because my beliefs are correct and you weren't because you don't believe as I do. This is a very sad analogy, but common. And there's the question. How can God allow such atrocities? The particular answer is that God gave us free will, And because of this, individuals of evil nature inflict harm on the innocent. So we are taught that God directs us and doesn't direct us all at the same time. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Something good will come of it. There are many ways of rationalizing God's interaction or lack of it, but there is only one that makes sense in this complex, unpredictable world, Albert Einstein said. In view of such harmony in the cosmos, which I, with limited human mind, am able to recognize, there are yet people who say there is no God. But what really makes me angry is that they quote me for support of such views. He kept the door open, but not in the controversial, conventional way. Most most view God and his claims controversial, conventional way. Most view God. He also claimed a man who is convinced of the truth of his religion is indeed never tolerant. At the least, he is to feel pity for the apparent and other religion, but usually it does not stop there. The faithful adherent of religion will try first of all to convince those that believe in another religion and usually goes on to hatred if he is not successful. However, hatred then leads to persecution when the might of the majority is behind it. As we all know, Einstein was a wise man. Spiritual energy. Being connected to religion is not a bad thing, but the religion must be taken with a grain of salt. It can bring about superstitions and false beliefs against others when they may truly be on a very positive and loving path. Religion is merely humanized way into relating to something that we are not able to fully comprehend, spiritual energy. We all sense it on some level, whether we acknowledge it or not. In removing the psychological barricades that keep us from being open, we can learn to recognize the underlying creative force our within a religion. We can rise above the primitive prejudices and sometimes questionable teachings that have been drummed into us for thousands of years, leaving us with the ability to focus on the fundamental principles that bring us together, rather than divide, in a positive way. There are positive aspects to be taken from all paths, as well as negative. Learning to discern between them is a tricky part. It's the tricky part. It can be psychological, full of fears, contradictions, and misinformation that can take a person on an emotional and hateful roller coaster ride if they have difficulty navigating the waters. In the rationalizing the working of what we call God, there is only one explanation that makes sense in hearing them. God works through us. This appears to be the truth of the matter. It's not just the religion or lack of it that graces us with the power. It's just there. The creative power of the universe works through every living thing on this planet and beyond. Everyone has been blessed by and draws on this creative power. Whether we know it or not, some call it chi, the life force, the source, spiritual energy, Christ energy, universal energy, the Great Spirit, and the list goes on and on. We receive this power when we are born, and we live with its flow every day of our lives. It's not partial, it does not judge, it does not bless us beyond our personal gifts, which we require through our genetic composition and through our initial entry into this world. It is pure in its neutrality. We are the ones that create polarize, the polarities of good and evil, love and hate. We are the ones that learn to use the creative energies we have been given or not. And most of us are not really aware of it or of the potential within. No matter who we are or what we've done, it's always present. It's hard to conceive that there might be no punishment for our indiscretions and no spiritual elevation for our virtue in the afterlife when we've been taught to think in terms of heaven and hell. Justice is a strong and much needed tool within the social structure, but it is just that, part of our social structure. We have also been taught by our parents, peer groups, schools, and churches to be prejudiced against various skin colors, gender preference, as well as religious backgrounds. So many of us accept these prejudices as being the truth. They are viewed as being the correct way to look at the world, when in fact they are simply echoing the indiscretions and lack of conscious evolution of our ancestors. Same old, same old. And we're too afraid or pressured by our peers to make the necessary changes. So rather than opening new doors into a deeper universal knowledge, acceptance, and spirituality, we just go deeper into the old ways of thinking instead of moving beyond the harmful and dividing philosophies of the past. We are prone to promote and encourage them in our children and anyone else that is willing to listen and adhere to them. Generally, we do this on a subconscious level, unaware of what we transmit is false. We don't fully understand what it is. We're here coming where we're coming from and where we need to go. The veil of belief. People will always try to sway your thinking in an attempt to enlighten you to the practicality of their personal and or group philosophies. They are anchored they have anchored themselves to a particular path and sometimes become fully invested in it. They aren't able to let it go, even when they come to recognize the path they've chosen or inherited is incomplete, and misdirected. If one is invested in their status within a religion, they are reluctant to walk away because the position they've required has become part of their ego. Instead of moving on, they rationalize it, attempting to mold it to suit themselves. They continue to display philosophies of the old ways while thinking in another. The conflict within can take its toll when what is being taught is only what the congregation wants to hear. When the veil of hardened beliefs is lifted, there's a sense of freedom that melts into your being. You begin to the process of reconstructing our spiritual reality, allowing us to accept others freely and in a loving way. You can actually learn to see the spirit in all. There's so much more than you know. sermon today. As I stated, this sermon is on the Universal Life Church. It was written by Lori A. Mongillo, who is a minister ordained by ULC, and I'll leave the link below for you to read it. But yeah, do not allow the differences we have to cause wedges between us. The only way to make this world a better place and just make life better as a whole is to come together for the things we have in common, the good things, and we fight over religion and politics, and then we forget how much everyone is alike. We just see differences, and this causes all this trouble. But hopefully, we as a people can learn to see past our differences and work toward what we all have in common and the basic love of that. But I will see you all later, and remember to love each other for what we have in common instead of hating each other for what we have different. When we all come together, the possibilities are endless. Thank you. Have a good day.